you stand and join us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Durante.
Present.
Holtz.
Here.
Rappaport.
Present.
Sharp.
Present.
Spezak.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Wilson.
Present.
Approval of minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Spezak, supported by Commissioner Wilson. Roll call, please.
Roll call vote to approve the July 16, 2019 minutes. Durante.
Yes.
Holtz.
Yes.
Rappaport.
Yes.
Sharp.
Yes.
Spezak.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Motion, support on that one? Sorry.
Spezak and Wilson.
Thank you.
At this time of our meeting, if there's anything that you'd like to bring before the commission that's not on the agenda, this would be the time. We have copies of the agenda next to Commissioner, our planning director, Mr. Abreu's office. That's by the podium. Oh, they're at the podium now? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Not on the agenda?
That anything that's not on the agenda, if there's anything like that.
What's on the agenda?
I hear nothing, so we'll move into case 1538D, site plan approval for proposed building expansion. Mr. Abe.
Thanks, Chairman. The subject site here is located on the north side of Ford Road, west of Hicks Road, at the border near Canton Township. The property is zoned I-1 Light Industrial and is developed with U.S. Ferrethane, a manufacturing company supplying the automotive industry with plastic products and materials. U.S. Ferrethane is here tonight requesting site plan approval for a proposed 99,000 approximately square foot addition to the approximately existing 99,000 square foot building, so almost doubling their footprint. The petitioners is expanding the existing one-story manufacturing building, again, to double its size. The building addition is proposed on the west side and the south side, as indicated on your screen on the site plan. It will accommodate new manufacturing areas, warehousing areas, and office space as well. The proposed site plan complies with all of the zoning regulations with the exception of height as detailed in your staff report. I also listed out some of the site data in there as well. Well, just showing that it complies with all of those regulations. The height variance, well, the proposed height is 45 feet tall in this area only. I can show you an elevation in a moment. This area over here complies with the 35-foot maximum. The reason that they need needed a 10-foot variance here is because of some tall machinery that or equipment that deals with the processing and manufacturing of those products. This is the south elevation facing Ford Road right here, and you can see the change in building elevation, 10-foot difference on your left-hand side. This is the rendering of what it would look like. The zoning board at its July 17th meeting did approve the 10-foot variance. Commissioner Rappaport can perhaps talk about that a little bit more if you'd like to know what was discussed at that zoning board meeting. The petitioners are here tonight to explain the site plan and maybe what goes on inside the building if you'd like. The administration and planning department are both recommending approval of this site plan and the proposed expansion of U.S. Ferrethane. Thank you.
Thank you. Would petitioners like to come forward and introduce yourselves?
Hi, Rodney Turton, U.S. Ferrothan, one of the vice presidents of the company.
Very good.
Scott Wright, the architect, D.S. Wright and Associates,
Okay.
representing.
Anything you gentlemen wish to add?
Sorry, what was that?
Anything you gentlemen wish to add to Mr.
No,
Abe?
not this time, no.
Okay. We're going to ask if there's any folks in the water and the audience wants to speak, and we'll bring you back up.
Sure.
Anyone on my left wish to speak on this? Anyone on my left? Be kind enough to introduce yourself.
I'm Jack Stang, 1948 in Olson, Westland here. I have two questions. One, what are they going to do about the odor of that plant? Are they going to be bringing the existing structure and the odors and stuff up to code along with us, or what's going to happen? Because we get an awful smell down at the end of the street there. And we're just a couple blocks away from the guys. It's at times when the wind's blowing in our direction, it is something else to behold. So that was one question I had. The other question is, are they going to be getting rid of those ugly, I don't know whether you want to call it fixturing or shipping containers that you keep outside that building? Are they going to be put inside this new building?
No.
They're going to be kept outside where they look ugly?
They can't go inside.
They look terrible. Can't you put something on the wall or something?
Sir, excuse me, sir.
To
Yeah,
take care of
ask
that?
your question, but we want you to talk into the mic also so that everybody at home can hear
Okay,
also.
why can't they put some kind of petition down there to separate there, or at least blind it from the rest of the people down there in that area? Because it's ugly. It's plain ugly, that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this? Gentlemen, if you'll come back up, we'll open it up to the commission for questions.
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson.
Good afternoon. Good evening. In this area, this expansion area, are you going to be expanding your manufacturing into that area? Or is this going to be additional office space?
It's going to be both. It's manufacturing and office space.
Okay,
And warehousing.
okay. The gentleman asked about the blue containers or the storage containers. What is stored in there?
Storage containers are actually the customers' containers. That's what we ship the parts to the customers. They're owned by the customers.
Okay, thank you. Oh, one other question. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Chair. Will you be hiring any more people?
Yeah, we have about 105 additional heads coming in.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions? Yes.
How many
Commissioner-
shifts again?
3 shifts.
7 days?
No, 5.
5? Okay.
Where possible.
All right. Any other questions? Commissioner Rappaport.
Because it was mentioned, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on the matter. The resident mentioned something about a smell or an odor in the area. Can you, do you know
I'm
anything
not
about
aware
that?
of
Can
that.
you
I
address
really
the,
can't.
can you address that concern at all?
No, I'm not aware of that, nor do I know too much about that, to be honest with you. Okay.
And I have to say, my knowledge, no one has ever brought that forward, that there is an odor from there. That doesn't mean there's not one,
Yeah.
but nobody ever has brought that forward.
Is it plastic injection?
Plastic injection and compression molding, correct.
There's a little odor, not much.
There is an odor, for sure. Yeah.
Looking for a motion?
Let me see.
Yes. Commissioner Falk?
So I was going to do the motion.
Yes.
I move we close the public hearing and waive no rules.
Turn on your mic.
And rescind case number 153D to the city council. Oh, sorry, let me start all over then, since you probably didn't hear me. Move we close public hearing, waive normal rules, and recommend we send case number 153D to the city council. Administration Planning Department recommend that this petition be forwarded to city council with a recommendation for approval, subject to departmental requirements and recommendations.
Support?
Motion by Commissioner Falk. Was that Commissioner Rappaport? Support by Commissioner Rappaport. Roll call, please.
Roll call vote to approve the site plan proposed by U.S. Fairthane to expand the existing building at 39200 Ford Road. Durante?
Yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Rappaport?
Yes.
Sharp?
Yes.
Spezak?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Wilson.
Yes.
Gentlemen,
7-0.
thank you for staying in our city and expanding your footprint. We look forward to your growth and the hiring of more individuals. Thank you very much. Good luck when you go to city council.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Ayub.
So next item of business could be which is not on your agenda, there's two more matters that we have to discuss tonight. Number two rather, is voting on changing the remaining 2019 meeting start time for the regularly scheduled planning commission meetings from 7:30 to 6:30 p.m., subject to approval by the mayor's office.
I make the motion to support that because,
Motion by Commissioner Wilson to support that.
Support.
right, because our
so-
pre-meeting should be at 6 o'clock and our actual meeting be at 6:30.
Yes,
It's going to start getting dark.
right.
It's a danger to the people
And we
coming
have
out.
support by Commissioner Williams. Roll call, please. You have
Discussion, please?
Discussion? Sure.
Just a quick question. How would we get the information for the change of time, provided that we did make this change? How would we get the notice out to the community so that they know when our meetings changed to? I certainly would hate to have people show up to our meetings thinking that they're going to be at 7:30 only to catch us walking out.
So there are several different ways we notice these meetings. First is the City of Westland website. The change will be made there. The newspaper always gets a notice that's posted in the Sunday paper. The change will be made there. And then also notices that go out under the Zoning Enabling Act to everyone within 300 feet of any subject property. For instance, this one tonight, the change will be reflected on their notice card as well.
We'll have to be careful about cutting and pasting, yes.
Oh, for sure, yeah, yeah.
Thank you for that answer. I thought it was important to put on the record.
Sure.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Roll call vote to change the regularly scheduled planning commission meeting times from 7:30 to 6:30 p.m. Durante?
And we're going to have the pre-meeting
At 6.
at 6.
Sure, okay.
Okay,
That's not.
yes,
Durante?
yes.
Folks?
Yes.
Rappaport?
Yes.
Sharp?
Yes.
Spezak?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
And Wilson.
Yes,
Very good. Anything else, sir?
All right, then the last item of business is I wanted to provide you an update, general briefing, a couple minutes here, of what the city council has been studying, reviewing, and where the materials are being housed on the city's website in terms of a marijuana ordinance controlling these facilities and regulations around these facilities. So the city council has decided to explore the idea of allowing various types of establishments that are authorized under the state law that was voted on by the people in 2018. So, well, to include processors, secure transporters, growing facilities, retail facilities, and micro businesses, and there's a couple others in there. So we're looking at allowing potentially the growers, the processors, secure transporters in industrial districts. We're looking at potentially allowing provisioning retail centers in the commercial district. And that's just a general overview, and then we get into a little bit more deeper discussion of separation distances between schools, between churches and other religious institutions, public buildings, the parks, and even separation distances between these establishments themselves and also the residential communities throughout the city of Westland. So some of those uses that I just mentioned will be protected mostly from these retail facilities, but the school buffers will apply for all of the marijuana type uses that I described in the beginning. So there's no real or concrete consensus yet that has been reached on what the numbers are in terms of buffer, 1,000 feet, 2,000 feet, 5,000 feet from schools, parks, or any of the other uses that I mentioned. So the council is just sort of studying that at the moment. For the people at home and for the planning commission, I will kind of show you, I don't know if this is up on the TV, but I'll show you guys where all of the working materials and documents are being housed on the city's website. Of course, my computer died. Give me a second. So it's being housed on our website under OpenGov. There's a tab there. If you click on OpenGov, that reads marijuana ordinance, and everything under there, there's maps, there's a draft calendar with all of the meetings, there's some discussion points that the city council has been talking about, and there's also about 4 or 5 presentations from previous city council study sessions of what they've been talking about and reviewing and discussing amongst themselves. So that website will be updated accordingly after each study session. Everything on there, I want to remind everyone at home and in the audience and here tonight that those are draft regulations and they're subject to change at any time, and they're only being used at this moment for study session purposes. So that's my 2-minute brief introduction. This will be coming to you at sometime in 2019, whenever the city council is ready to bring forward the ordinance for your review and recommendation to the city council. Happy to answer any questions from you. Maybe there's some people.
Thank you. Any questions from the commission?
Just one that I can really think of off the top of my head. And this can be answered by either our friends in the administration or friends from the city attorney's office. So the dispensaries are very analogous, or can be thought of as analogous to dram shops and tobacconists. Now, both of those libation provisioning have a lounge version of where you, for example, when we're talking about alcohol, there are clearly bars where you can go and enjoy alcohol in a social setting. For tobacconists, there are smoking lounges. I'm wondering if we're actually looking into, or if the law actually even allows that sort of a business, and if we're looking into allowing that in Westland.
Happy to answer that question for you, Mr. Rappaport. For those at home and those in the audience that don't know me, I'm Brandon Grisco. I'm one of the assistant city attorneys. Don't have a name tag yet, unfortunately, so that's why I'm nameless here as I sit before you. But to answer your question, the law does allow licenses for certain types of on-premises consumption as far as the adult use or recreational marijuana establishments goes. And let me segue real quick. I think it's important to keep in mind, too, that you still have a medical marijuana facilities licensing system and an adult use or recreational marijuana establishment type licensing system. So all of these licenses are going to kind of coexist out there, but only for now, at least under the recreational adult use rules, do you have the potential for on-premises consumption. And for those that have been following any of the study sessions or anything like that. At the time, there's no, being that we're only in study session, there's no decisions being made. They're not deliberating towards anything. But the sense of the council at this time, I think, is that, we're not really moving forward on on-premises consumption.
Very good, thank you. And when this comes about, of course, everything would be posted for the public and that.
So,
Yeah, Mr. Trey,
thank you, Chairman. I actually got my computer to work. It's been having some trouble the past few days. So cityofwestland.com, this is our homepage. Second tab on from your left, Open Gov. A few different items in here. On your right-hand side, marijuana ordinance. And this is where all of these materials will be housed. Meeting dates, presentations, various maps, and some other resources, and the various Michigan laws related to the subject.
very good, thank you. Any other questions or business?
One question.
Yes.
Do they have I know that there is a drop dead date that the city has to come up with their plan and report it to the state. And that's somewhere around the end of September, beginning of October, or is it the end of October?
So I think the city council has established a target date of wanting to have a draft ordinance completed in the beginning of October. Now, any city, every city in Michigan has the opportunity, if they're not ready, to opt out for as long as it wants to further refine the ordinance that it's working on. So if it wants to take halfway through 2020 to do that, we have the authority to do that.
If I may add on to that. The idea at the state level was to drop a set of emergency rules that they created administratively. And the idea was to give cities and communities 90 days to decide what they're going to do with their ordinances one way or another. These rules for adult use recreational marijuana dropped around July 2nd or 3rd, I believe. So if you carry out the 90-day type timeline, you run into about the end of September, beginning of October, and that's kind of where that came from in terms of potentially the state accepting applications at that time.
Commissioner Folks, you had a question?
I just wanted to clarify a couple of things, that the decision has not been made, yes or no, if we're going to have the not medical, but the recreational marijuana, correct?
So, I mean, there's no ordinance on the books, so yes or no, not really, no.
Okay, so then go ahead.
We're spending all this time and resources in exploring this idea and actually starting to narrow some things down. So it may be safe to assume that there will be some sort of draft ordinance that comes your way.
Okay. And then I would
At
just
some
like
point.
to remind the citizens that if you have an opinion, a very strong opinion, yes or no, then make sure you make it to the study sessions and state your opinion before this is all done.
And ma'am, if I may, just to clarify, you had kind of corrected yourself and said that, not medical, we're just talking recreational. Well, actually, we're kind of talking about both, so, and they do in some ways go hand in hand.
Any other discussion? If not, a motion is in order to...
Move for adjournment.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner
Wait,
Spies.
wait.
Did we just?
Oh, yes, you have another,
Yeah, I don't know if you wanted to open it up to the public for questions on the
We
marijuana.
could.
It's up to you.
not a problem.
The best format for questions, I think, related to this topic would be the study sessions that the council is having, but it's up to you.
Anybody here have a question on this, or you want to get more information before you make your questions?
Can we vote on it? Can the city vote on it?
Go up to the podium, please.
I know Garden City is going to have a vote on whether or not they're going to have it. Why can't we?
I don't believe it's reached that port yet, that there was a vote, the last
That's the
election.
only question I've got is why can't the city vote on whether or not we want to have it here in our city?
Thank you.
I renew my adjournment.
Motion by Commissioner Spezak, seconded by Commissioner Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.